The air in Atlanta, it was literally heavy with the unbearable weight of history. Welcome to an explainer of a semifinal that we're going to be dissecting for absolutely decades. Argentina's late, stunning comeback against England.
There are defeats where you just kind of tip your hat to a superior opponent, right? And then there are defeats that haunt your waking hours. Sky Sports News actually summed this up perfectly. They said, the better side won, but there's an awful feeling that this was to a large degree self-inflicted. And wow, does that hit the nail on the head. This wasn't just a football match, guys. It was a psychological thriller, a total masterclass in that razor-thin line between tragedy and triumph. So let's unpack exactly how a dream scenario turned into an absolute waking nightmare on the pitch in Atlanta.
Right from the whistle, the opening exchanges were, well, they were nothing short of a street fight. It was a gritty, nasty battle of attrition under those broken Georgia skies. Tackles were flying in late. Argentina was definitely leaving a little extra on every single challenge, clearly trying to rattle an England side that was desperate just to keep their composure. And for a while, it was Jordan Pickford standing as the lone sentinel. He pulled off a series of spectacular one-handed saves, most notably that massive one denying Nico Gonzalez, just to keep this really tense equilibrium intact. You could feel the storm brewing, but England, they were holding the line.
Okay, let's dive into this. The 55th minute. The exact moment an entire nation literally stopped breathing. A beautiful, curling cross from Morgan Rogers finds Anthony Gordon, who breaks the deadlock, 1-0. In that split second, 60 years of hurt felt like they were just dissolving into the humid air. I mean, the traveling fans were in absolute delirium. England actually had the defending world champions on the ropes, and a ticket to the final, it seemed entirely within reach.
They had the lead, and history was quite literally in their grasp. The ghosts of all those past tournaments seemed ready to just be permanently exorcised. But over on the touchline, a fateful decision was about to change the entire trajectory of the match. Manager Thomas Tuchel looked at the clock, looked at the pitch, and made a choice that would completely shift the tectonic plates of this semifinal.
Instead of, pressing the advantage and trusting the momentum they'd built, Tuchel opted for a deep, almost desperate retreat. He pulled Gordon, the goalscorer, and threw on Ezri Konsa and Dan Burn in a bid to completely shut up shop. It was this sudden, drastic shift from a beautifully balanced game to England essentially barricading themselves inside their own penalty area. And the glaring problem with handing the initiative back to a team like Argentina? They don't just take it, they absolutely suffocate you with it.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why that tactical retreat was so fatal. Just look at these numbers from the match data. Argentina ended up with 64% possession, stringing together a staggering 537 passes at a 91% accuracy rate. England, meanwhile, they were reduced to just launching hopeful long balls, 42 of them to be exact, completing just 272 passes overall. So England weren't just sitting deep, they were trapped, completely unable to escape the relentless, rhythmic passing of the South American champions.
But what makes this defensive retreat even more baffling is the opponent's track record. Coming into this match, Argentina had a genuinely terrifying tournament pattern. They are a team that absolutely thrives on late drama. In fact, they had already scored 9 goals after the 75th minute before the semifinal even kicked off. 9. They'd already mounted a 2-goal comeback against Egypt late on, and they struck deep into extra time against Switzerland. If there is literally one team on earth you do not want to invite pressure from in the dying minutes, it was for sure this one.
If you're enjoying this documentary, subscribe to Flop Files and share this video with a football fan. We uncover the stories behind football's greatest moments and biggest comebacks.
And then, inevitably, the dam finally broke. At the 85th minute, Enzo Fernandez found himself in miles of space outside the box and unleashed this stunning bending strike that just flew past Pickford. The stadium absolutely erupted. But the true heartbreak for England, that came in the sheer chaos of stoppage time. 92nd minute. The defense, who were completely exhausted from chasing shadows for half an hour, completely lose substitute Lautaro Martinez. He rises up completely unchecked to head in the winner. 2 goals in 7 minutes, a complete and utter collapse.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the architect behind all that chaos. At 39 years old, Lionel Messi obviously isn't covering every single blade of grass anymore. Instead, around the 80th minute, he deliberately dropped deep, operating almost as a second defensive midfielder. From there, he dictated the entire geometry of the match. He delivered the perfectly weighted pass for Fernandez's equalizer, and then he floats that flawless right-footed cross for Martinez's winner. Get this, in the final 15 minutes, Messi had 0 wasted touches. None. It was a surgical, intellectual masterclass.
With those 2 moments of undeniable genius, Lionel Messi didn't just save his country.
He actually moved to the top of the Golden Boot assist charts for the entire tournament. And there's just this immense, heavy emotional weight to that, isn't there? We were watching a 39-year-old icon in what is surely his final World Cup, still bending the biggest matches on the biggest stages entirely to his will. He's still chasing history, and history, it seems, is more than happy to oblige. For England, though, the history they made was entirely unwanted. The data highlights a seriously devastating statistic here. After this collapse, England officially became the first team in the 21st century to lose 2 World Cup semifinals after actually taking the lead. It's a staggering reality. To be so close, to actually have the advantage in your hands, and to just let it slip away, not once, but twice on the global stage.
So the crucial point is the contrasting fallout of this match. For players like Harry Kane, whose long ball actually started the move for England's goal, but who otherwise really struggled to make an impact, and Jude Bellingham, who fought valiantly but ultimately lost his cool in those dying seconds, this is a uniquely cruel heartbreak. They fell agonizingly short yet again. That tactical fear shown on the touchline completely translated to the pitch, and England go home knowing they defeated themselves just as much as Argentina defeated them.
Let's move to and see how this builds for the victors. Argentina now face the final frontier. They're chasing a back-to-back World Cup feat that hasn't been achieved since Pelé's Brazil did it all the way back in 1958 and 1962. They're riding this massive wave of tactical intelligence, emotional resilience, and of course, the enduring magic of their captain, proving they are virtually unbeatable when the stakes are at their absolute highest.
So we have to ask, is this Argentina's inescapable destiny? Or will Spain finally end the fairy tale in Sunday's New York final? England had 60 years of hurt in their sights, 5 minutes from history. Then Lionel Messi reminded the world why he's still the difference maker at 39 years old. Argentina march on to Sunday's final. England go home to wonder, again, what might have been. Thanks for watching Flop Files.